My favorite player was Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
My dad's from Chicago. We were huge Bulls fans.
We're going to play the Bulls for the championship. Michael Jordan just has some more help. I'm just as good as him. They look at me like I'm crazy.
I was left speechless. The only thing I knew in that moment was that Jordan was the GOAT. Future generations will never come close to what we were witnessing.
When a young Larry Bird is left without words, you know you've just witnessed something unforgettable. Some players earn your respect, others, your fear. Michael Jordan, he commanded both every single night he laced up. From the moment he entered the league, there was an aura about him. That stare-cold calculating, like he already knew the ending. And you were powerless to change it. This isn't about numbers or championships, it's about the way legends talk about him. This wasn't admiration, it was the kind of reverence that changes how the game is played. Jordan didn't just influence basketball, he reshaped it. Opponents prepared differently. Coaches drew up entire game plans just to try and slow him down, not because he asked for that kind of attention, but because he gave them no choice. And that's not hype. That's straight from the mouths of the ones who tried to stop him. In this video, we're giving them the mic, the rivals, the defenders, the greats who went toe-to-toe with Jordan, and they'll all tell you the same thing. He wasn't just great, he was inevitable. If you thought Bird's first reaction said it all, just wait until you hear what he says later. There are games that stay in your memory. And then there are players who make you forget you were watching a game at all. For Shaquille O'Neal, sharing the court with Michael Jordan wasn't just another night in the league, it was something else entirely. Shaq came into the NBA like a wrecking ball, power, speed, dominance, wrapped in one giant frame. He broke rims, bullied defenders, and changed what a big man could be. But even he had to stop and acknowledge something different in Jordan. Because while Shaq overwhelmed you physically, Jordan got you with something you couldn't measure. That quiet, eerie certainty that he would win. Years later, when Shaq was asked about what it was like facing MJ in his prime, he didn't offer a breakdown or a tired cliche. What he said, instead, it's become one of the most unforgettable lines ever spoken about Michael Jordan.
He's at the peak of MJ. What is it like just being on the floor with him, man?
I don't know what God looks like. It's like seeing God.
About the most physically dominant big man of his generation, a four-time NBA champ, a three-time Finals MVP, a player who flattened legends in his path. And yet, when Shaquille O'Neal talks about facing Michael Jordan, he speaks in almost spiritual terms. Because how else do you describe it? When Jordan was locked in, words weren't necessary. He didn't have to talk trash. He didn't need to flex. His presence did the talking. The moment he stepped on the floor, everyone, players, coaches, fans, knew who held the power. So when Shaq said it felt like seeing God, it wasn't just about the shots, the dunks, or the buzzer beaters. It was about the feeling. That unmistakable, spine-chilling sense that you weren't playing against a man. You were facing something more. That's the essence of greatness. Not just what you do, but how you make others feel. Even the most dominant forces in the league found themselves stopping, looking over at Jordan, and realizing they were witnessing something beyond belief. And if there's one player who defined effort and intensity, it was Dennis Rodman. He was a force of nature, relentless on the boards, fearless on defense, and completely unafraid of anyone. Rodman didn't back down from stars. He welcomed the fight. No matter how many MVPs or scoring titles you had, if you stepped into his zone, you were in for a battle. He played like chaos with a mission, disrupting, distracting, and dismantling. Offensive rhythm without even touching the ball. But even chaos has boundaries. When it came to Michael Jordan, Rodman knew exactly where those lines were drawn. In one of his rare, unfiltered moments, no ego, no theatrics, Rodman was asked what it was like trying to slow down MJ, and instead of turning it into a soundbite, he did.
It was cool.
You're one of the few guys that can say that, by the way.
It was actually cool, man, because it gave us the opportunity to work harder, because we knew these guys was coming. And once we start playing them, and once we got in the playoff with these guys, but it's like, it's hard to keep that guy under 30 points. It was hard, but he was that good.
Rodman. That's as close as you'll ever get to a bow. This is a guy who battled Karl Malone in the paint, wrestled with Shaq for rebounds, and played mental chess with some of the best scorers the league has ever seen. Rodman thrived on making life miserable for stars. But when it came to Michael Jordan, the feeling was different. It wasn't fear, it was inevitability. Rodman didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't need to. He knew that even if you brought your most physical defense, your most focused effort, and your smartest strategy, Jordan would still find a way. Maybe it was that signature mid-range jumper, so clean it looked like poetry in motion. Maybe it was the fadeaway that seemed to defy physics. Or maybe it was that deceptively quick first step, nothing flashy, just efficient, and by the time you reacted, he was already gone. Guarding Jordan wasn't about shutting him down. That was a fantasy. It was about surviving him. Rodman's respect wasn't handed out. You had to earn it. And when he admits that just holding MJ under 30 points was a struggle, he's not just talking about talent, he's laying out the hard truth. Jordan was going to get his. The only question was, how long could you delay the inevitable before he took the game away from you? Some matchups in basketball feel scripted by fate, those one-on-one showdowns where greatness meets greatness, and everything else fades away. For Allen Iverson, confident, fearless, and carrying the weight of his dreams, facing Michael Jordan wasn't just a challenge. It was a moment he had imagined for years. Long before the cameras, before the arenas, before the league ever knew his name, Iverson had made a promise to himself. When that day came, he'd be ready. And when it finally arrived, with Jordan staring him down across the court, Iverson didn't flinch. He didn't hesitate. He rose.
I was telling all my friends and my family that if I ever got a chance, if he ever guarded me, that I was going to try my move on the greatest player to ever play. So I knew I was going to do it. When he got on me, that's why I backed up. Yeah. I said, oh, here we go. I didn't get nervous. And I was, like you said, just young, you know what I mean, and just confident. So my heart won't thumping or nothing like that. I won't, you know what I mean? I did it like I would do it.
Michael Jordan, he was trying to prove he belonged. All those late nights on the blacktop, all the college grind, all the faith he poured into his own game, it had all led to this. That crossover, the one the world couldn't stop replaying. It wasn't just a move, it was a message. But what makes Iverson's version of the story hit so hard isn't the highlight, it's the headspace. There was no fear, no second guessing, just raw, undiluted belief, the kind you carry when you're young, hungry, and too bold to be intimidated. He wasn't staring down a legend that night, he was just playing ball. And in that single moment, if it only lasted a heartbeat, he reminded the world that legends can be tested. And the next generation doesn't wait its turn. They take the shot. Chris Webber was a student of the game, a rare mix of grace and power, with a basketball IQ that saw plays develop before they happened. He understood what separated the good from the great. But even he found it hard to explain what Michael Jordan brought to the court, because with MJ, it wasn't just about the points or the jaw-dropping shots, it was the precision, the invisible things, footwork, spacing, timing, that most players only drill in silence, alone, far from the spotlight. Jordan, he executed those tiny technical details under the blinding heat of the playoffs against the best defenders in the world. Webber didn't need to dress it up, he didn't need to exaggerate, he saw it, up close, in real time, and when he talks about those moments, you can hear it in his voice, the weight, the respect, the sense that even now, he's still processing what he witnessed.
You know, like the drills that you do every day just to become a better player, and you do them hard. Like, he was playing that way in the game. He was denying, seeing the man in the ball, turning, talking on defense, elbowing guys as they came through the paint. Like, we saw his greatness. And he shut anyone that he was checking down. It was not
often overlooked. Michael Jordan didn't just average 38 a night. He defended like it was his name on the scoreboard. He wasn't just about scoring. He was about setting a tone. He jumped passing lanes like he had the playbook memorized. He barked out defensive coverages louder than some coaches. And if you tried to cut through the lane without respect, you'd catch an elbow, not dirty, just deliberate. There were no wasted possessions, no moments off. For Jordan, every second was personal. Chris Webber had seen greatness before. He'd played alongside legends, battled killers, but Jordan took the basics, the footwork, the spacing, the timing, and executed them with such intensity. Voice smooth, he's seen them all, played beside icons, won at the highest level, but when magic speaks about Michael Jordan, there's something else. In his tone, a pause, a reverence, a weight, because Jordan didn't just master the game, he redefined what greatness looked like. And even Matt Baku helped shape basketball's golden era, knew it. He didn't need to say much. He just let the truth hang in the air. Asterisk.
Chris Webber says, we saw his greatness. It isn't about admiration. It's about recognition.
When you think about playing with MJ, it's nerve-wracking because he demands excellence. And but just getting him the basketball in the right place and let him do his thing with the tongue out and everything. You know, the tongue way out.
Favorite player was Michael Jordan. Yeah. My dad's from Chicago. We were huge Bulls fans, and so I remember being 10 years old and being in Monaco, and I went to the game, the Dream Team. They played France for a friendly game before going to Barcelona for Olympics, and I was one of those kids who will go down and go watch it. France lost by 50, but you know,
That's not bad.
and so I was just super excited to see my idol, and that's why I wear the number 9, because of Michael Jordan.